لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبو القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد
وسلم على آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين. قال الله تعالى في محكم كتابه العزيز: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، ولله المشرق والمغرب فأينما تولوا فثم وجه الله. صلوات على محمد. Progressing on the topic that I decided for this ashra, the idea of the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I want to talk to you more about the idea of some of the arguments, moral arguments about the existence of God. But just a little bit of a recap. The first few nights I talked about the idea of existence. What is wujud? And I talked about different philosophers, and then we slowly progressed to an idea of the discussion of the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that was yesterday's lecture. But I want to continue on, because it's good to have philosophical knowledge about the existence of God. It's good to have theoretical construct about the existence of God. It's good to have theological underpinnings, understanding what makes our faith our faith. But unless I put my money where my mouth is, as the muhavara in English goes, it's pointless. I could say a million things, but unless I actively show the existence of God in my life, my saying everything is worthless. And indeed, we find in religion, there is an idea in perennial philosophy that all religions are the fruits of the manifestation of a single tree throughout time. And they would say all religion stems from the Adamic or Adam religion of Tawheed. When Hazrat Adam was created, there was only one religion: submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as time passed, different religions developed, and they were corrupted and changed, so that original religion was changed. I use the word corrupted in perennial philosophy. They would not say that. They would say every religion intrinsically has the value to make its followers reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when I say all religions started from the Adamic religion, I'm really saying every religion started from Tawheed. Therefore, we have the Abrahamic religions which say one God, or different views on one God. And of course there's Zoroastrianism, which was a religion that believed in one God, or they worshipped one God before Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. But the argument goes further. All religions stem from Tawheed. Every religion that exists in the world today started from the idea of the existence of one God and one message. So Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, all of them, they are derived from Adam's religion. But they are changed by human beings. If you ask a Hindu about God, I'm going to say this in Urdu, but they would say, Upar wala Bhagwan to ek hai. But the big man is only one. All these deities, it's like kindergarten for faith. These statues, it's like kindergartens for faith. They point to the reality of Bhagwan. If somebody gets stuck in kindergarten and they don't get beyond to first or second grade, let alone middle school, high school, and college, they would say you cannot blame the faith, you blame the person. But in Islam, we say what Hinduism did was they separated the attributes of Allah from the essence of God. That is why you will have one God which is a God of war, one God which is a God of money, one God which is the God of prosperity, one God which is the God of the earth, one God which is the God of the hellfire, one God that is the God of the earth, meaning all of sustenance. We say no. And I use this example many times. Let's say I'm a student. And I'll be honest with you, in high school I hated math. Absolutely, completely hated the subject. But I need help. And there are many tutoring services. I call one of these services and I call for a tutor. Or I email them on their website, they send a message or whatever. I only need help with math. But when the tutor comes, does somehow the part that's related to math in their brain separate itself from the tutor? No. That is why same reason goes here. When I say Allah is Qahar, Rahman, Rahim, Malik, Qudus, I'm invoking Him by different names and characteristics. But when I call that one characteristic, the whole of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers. Hinduism separated the sifat from the dhat. We say we can never separate the dhat from the sifat. We can never do that. And indeed, when we talk about the existence of God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even in the religions that say there is one God, or one God you worship, there are different views. And the only truly monotheistic faith is Islam. Zoroastrianism, Zarathustra, the prophet of Zoroastrianism. They believe in the God that created all of goodness and the God that created two gods, two spirits. The one that made every goodness, every good thing, and the one that made every bad thing. Equally powerful. But they only worship one God. In Abrahamic religions, they say Judaism is the first. Of course, Islam is really the first of all religions, therefore it is the first Abrahamic religion. But if you read the history books on history of religion, they would say that Judaism was the first Abrahamic religion. Jews do not deny the existence of other gods. They say our God is a tribal God. Therefore, although we will not worship other gods, we will only worship our tribal God. And indeed, this is going back to my New York Theological Seminary teaching or studying experience. When they teach the Hebrew Bible, they say there were certain times in which the Jews, of course, in the Quran we have the story too, and in the Hebrew Bible, when Nabi Musa went up to Kohe Tur, the Mount of Tur, for 40 nights, they started worshiping a golden calf. This is not just one story; it's happened multiple times. After the wafat of Nabi Musa, in the Bible they say Moses was not allowed to enter the promised land. He died in the wilderness. And there are different theories as to how the Israelites occupied Canaan or Palestine, but they had influence from the religions outside. So the other religions, the Philistines, they worship Baal. There were times in which the Jews started worshiping Baal. They did that. And according to that faith, that view, God punished them. He punished them. The God of the Christians is one of three. In Surah Al-Ali Imran, which the brother beautifully recited today for the Quran recitation, it says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alif Lam Mim, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-Hayyul Qayyum. God is He, there is no God but He. And He is Hay, ever living, and Qayyum, all subsisting. The God of the Christians was created in time. Fine, God the Father might have been eternal, but God the Son came at the Immaculate Conception of Jesus Christ. By the way, as a side note, the Bible does not have a good view on Bibi Maryam. They openly say that Nabi Isa criticized his mother. It is the Quran that preserves the ismat and the tahat of Bibi Maryam. And Jesus himself never called himself the Son of God. You look at the Bible, every place it says Jesus, he says Son of Man. Son of Man. And indeed, the early Christians believed in one God, and they believed Jesus was the prophet of God. But when the first council of Nicaea happened, Constantine, who was the Caesar or the emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantine Empire, said we are going to have one of three. It wasn't just the padre or the priest that decided this, it was the ruler that decided this. And all of those who said that Jesus was a prophet and did not believe the Trinity were killed. Incidentally, we're talking about Karbala, and I'll mention this later as well. In the first few centuries of Christianity, there were thousands of martyrs. Yet none of them get remembered today. In Islam, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein gave 72, and each and every single one of them is remembered today. Christians made God one of three. Islam said, if Jesus is the Son of God, then Adam deserves more to be the Son of God because he has no mother and father. Your argument is Jesus is the Son of God because he has no father. Adam did not have a mother or father, so why not him? There is a story about Imam Rida alayhi salam. A second time for the love of Fatima to Zahra. The ulama have debated as to whether or not what the relationship between Imam Rida and Ma'mun was. But one time, Ma'mun called the courtyard of all the priests from every religion throughout his kingdom and throughout the world that he knew, throughout the known world at that time. And there were Christians there, and he called Imam Rida up. When it came to debate, the time to debate the Christians, he says, yes, Jesus was a great man, he was a great person, individual, and he was very good with the people, but Imam says he was iffy in his ibadah. He did not worship God that much, or at all. And the Christians were like, wait, what are you saying? Jesus was the best abid shab zindagan. He was the best one. He says, if he worships somebody, that means he is creation, not creator. If he was a creator, he would be worshiping himself, which is pompous and against the nature of worship. The person who always worships is the one who is created and lesser and subservient, and he worships because he is subservient. So they were like, oh my God, you really proved that Jesus was not the Son of God for us. They didn't leave their faith necessarily, but they accepted the argument. Islamic philosophy says there's only one God, not one of three, not one tribal God. One God, not one, two gods, equal power, one God of good, one God of evil, one spirit of good, one spirit of evil, one God. And all of existence works around the idea of that one God. So the Islamic world, Islamic universe, is a theistic universe. And this is getting to my main point for tonight's lecture. It is a moral universe. It is a moral universe. What do I mean? Do apes have morality? If a mother of a chimpanzee female is taking care of its child, does that mean she has sympathy for the child or she has moral sympathy for the child? No. But the arguments of morality can only take place with the existence of God. If natural selection were all that was, and many philosophers have said natural selection weeds out the idea of the existence of God because everything is left to chance and evolution. We say, even if, in Islam, we do believe in evolution, by the way. We do. Surah An-Nisa, Allah says, He created all of humanity from Adam and his mate. Meaning all the biological diversity of evolution that exists within humanity today is the result of that one pair. All the biological diversity. I'm not saying we came from apes, no. I'm not. And we say even if there is evolution, evolution is necessarily dependent on the existence of God. That's what we say. This is going back maybe 15 years ago, I was reciting a majlis, youth majlis, at one of the mu'mineen's house. And one of the father of one of the youths, he had went to the Hajj the year before. And he met Ayatollah al-Uzma, Sayyid Muhammad Taqi al-Mudarrisi from Karbala. And he had a conversation with him. He says, do we believe in evolution? And the Marja had an answer for him. He said somebody came to Imam Ali and he says, what was there before Adam? He says, Adam. He says, what was there before that Adam? He says, Adam. He says, what was there before that Adam? 7 times he says, what was there before Adam? 7 times he says, Adam. Meaning every species has its point of God-given origin through which it develops its own identity. But if there was no morality, why doesn't every human being do what the Spartans used to do in Greece? All the weak children, they would kill, they would throw off cliffs and everything. Why? Because Allah, as a hujjah of His existence, created moral sympathy in the hearts of the believers, in the hearts of all of humanity. Philosophers, critics of morality have said morality is a weakness. It lets the weak survive. We say morality is the greatest existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah himself never said, I was sent to you by God to perfect your prayer, salat, saum, hajj, zakat. No. I believe I quoted this tradition before as well. He says, I was there to perfect the nobility of your character, makarim al-akhlaq. The idea that Allah had so much mercy that He said, Rahmatun lil Alameen, in the form of the Muhammadan light, in the form of a human body, and guided all of humanity to Allah, is the greatest proof of the existence of Allah. There are dozens of stories of the Prophet and his Ahlul Bayt and the nobility of their character. One woman throws trash at Prophet every time he goes by her house. She gets sick, he goes. she thinks he's going to take revenge. And he says, I'm here to take care of you. The Prophet, the Quraysh who had tortured the Prophet so much that he had to leave Mecca, it was because of the Quraysh. Abu Talib had died and Bibi Khadija had died. They went through so much torture that there was nothing left for them except death. When he was conquering Mecca, he went up to the Quraysh and he said, what do you think I'm going to do to you? He could have brought up the whole list. You had kids throw stones at me. You had Abu Lahab, his wife, and all of them, Abu Sufyan. We sent Muslims to Ethiopia. You followed them, went to the court of Habad, the Ethiopian king, and you said, bring them back. You tortured us. You surrounded us in the Battle of Ahzab. You killed my uncle and everything. Hamza to say the Shuhada. But, they said, what do you want me to do with you? He didn't bring out any of these, which I was saying. He says, what do you expect? And they say, you are the son of our noble brother and a nobleman from with our family. We expect nothing but the noblest of akhlaq from you. I'm going to focus on one incident. The shahadat of Sayyid al-Shuhada, Hamza. When he became shaheed, Allah made his liver hard. Because when Hinda told her servant to kill Hamza, she told him to take out the liver and she wanted to chew it, to eat it. So Allah made it hard so that the liver of Sayyid al-Shuhada Hamza would not be the nourishment for Hinda. So instead, she has his eyes gouged out, his lips torn off, his fingers and toenails cut out, and toes cut out, and she makes a necklace out of it. She makes a necklace out of it. But the proof of the existence of Allah on the Quraysh was the characteristics of Prophet Muhammad. And they knew he would deal with them justly. They knew that. Morality, serving humanity, is so important that it is one of the characteristics of the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen salamullahi alayhim. Imam Ali alayhi salam is in Masjid al-Nabawi. He's praying. All the Sahaba are there. A poor man comes. He says, is there anybody to help me? I'm poor. Give me sustenance. Give me something. Nobody responds. He says it another time. Nobody responds. Third time he says it. Nobody responds. He says, Ya Allah, bear witness that when I came to the mosque of your prophet and I asked for help, nobody helped me. As soon as that happened, Imam Ali motioned for him to take the ring off of his finger. And when he did, Allah was so pleased that the ayah of the Quran professing the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen says, surely your wali is Allah and the Prophet, and the one who while he is in salat, in ruku, he gives zakat. Dear brothers and sisters, let us not treat this majlis of Imam al-Hussein lightly. There is intense shifa'at in the majlis of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. When we set up the majlis of Imam Hussein, all of Ahlul Bayt come. So right now, in this hall, all of Ahlul Bayt are here. Maybe Imam al-Sajjad is by the shoe. Bibi Fatima is by the women at the door. Imam Ali is by the door for the men. Rasulullah is crying for his grandson Hussein. They're all here. So let us take part openly and lovingly with the heart of a true mu'min for the majlis of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Intense barak. You see, I was only 5 when I moved from Pakistan to America, so I don't remember Muharram in Pakistan. Maybe some of you remember Muharram in Pakistan or Iran or Iraq, or I believe they have a massive Muharram in London as well. And you see the way they do it. The mu'jiza of service to Ahlul Bayt is the ziyarah of Arba'een. The ziyarah of Arba'een, every mawqib, every post, there is a mawqib. Every pole there is a mawqib. There are hundreds and thousands of mawaqib. And all of them, do you want food? Do you want rice? Do you want something to drink? Do you want perfume? Do you want a massage? Do you want medical treatment? All of this is provided for free. Because we believe that when this happens, we get the rida of Fatima al-Zahra salamullah alayha. We get the shifa'ah of Zahra through the majlis of Imam Hussein. That is why in the riwayah they say you should cry loudly for Imam Hussein. Beat your head in your chest for Imam Hussein. Cry the way a grieving mother cries for the loss of her youthful son. Cry. If you cannot cry, put your head down and pretend and try to cry. Because there's shifa'ah in the tears that are shed for Imam Hussein. There's shifa'ah in the tears that are shed for Imam Hussein. The world gave many martyrs, many shuhada. I said earlier, in the early generations of Christianity, there were thousands of shuhada that they gave for their faith. And after the Trinity was accepted as the doctrine of Christianity, those Christians who did not believe in the Trinity gave thousands to fight that idea. In the school of Ahlul Bayt, we have many stories as to sacrifice. When Karbala had ended, and Karbala had, Ahlul Bayt were being paraded, the battle had ended, Ahlul Bayt were being paraded through Karbala, Kufa, Sham. What happened? Lady Zainab made a prediction, and she says, you will fight one another until you destroy yourselves. You will be separated into different points of fighting and arguing, so much so that you will destroy yourself. When the Banu Abbas rose up against the Banu Umayyah, they knew the sentiments of the Shia, and Abu Muslim was the man who was the one who started the uprising of the Banu Abbas. The slogan was, we were going to give the Khilafah to the right one from Muhammad. Aimma said that they're not from us, but they knew the sentiments of the Shia, and they were harder, more tyrannical, more unjust than the Banu Umayyah were. The palaces in Baghdad were built on the bones of Sadat and Shia, meaning they would construct walls, and the Shia would be put in between the walls, and they would suffocate to death. They would suffocate to death. At one time, during the imamat of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, they say the Khalifa, this was around the time of the unrest of the Banu Abbas Khalifa at that time. He killed and he took captive dozens, hundreds of Hassani Sadat. You know, when we heard the name Tabatabai Muhsin Hakim Tabatabai, Muhammad Baqir Hakim Tabatabai, Muhammad Hussein Tabatabai. Tabatabai is the title for Hassani Sadat. The reason why there are so few Tabatabai is because they were almost completely wiped out. All of them were almost completely killed. After Karbala, they rose up and they fought, and all of them were almost completely killed. But we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Yadullah fawqa aydihim, that the hand of God is always above. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, they plan and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners. They thought that through killing Ahlul Bayt, through killing Hassani Sadat, through the imprisonment of Ahlul Bayt, through the stealing of the veils of the Haram of Imam Hussein, that the Husseini revolution would die out. But with every martyr that they gave, it spread like wildfire. It spread like wildfire. Not just one country, one place. Please rise along. You know, when I was doing my master's, my first master's, and I was doing my master's thesis, my master's thesis was on Azadani in the tri-state. By tri-state, I mean New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. When I interviewed the Afghan brothers and brothers, one of the brothers said when the communists came to Afghanistan, within 48 hours, all the ulama, Shia, Sunni, all of them, throughout Afghanistan, they all had them arrested or killed. Same thing happens in Saudi and the Majlis of Imam Hussein, I hear. When the communists were in Afghanistan, they would have majlis in the downstairs part of the house, in the basement, and somebody would be looking up to see if the communist police officers or the communist army is coming. As soon as they would come or they were sighted, he would give a signal and they would get rid of all the signs of the Majlis of Imam Hussein and pretend that they were just having that. Shiism went through some of the most difficult times in its history, throughout its history. Not just one difficult time, throughout. In Iraq, there was Saddam. In Pakistan, there was Zia al-Haq. After Saddam, there was Samara, 1, 2, and 3. In Pakistan, there are suicide bombings that happen in every place. Missing persons is very frequent in Pakistan. Where you talk about Imam Hussein, they abduct you. Why? Because they know what is in your heart. They want to eliminate what is in your heart, and they know they cannot do that. What we have is a whole universe in our heart dedicated to the love of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, to the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we go to Karbala, may Allah grant us all the opportunity to go to Karbala. After Fajr, if you've ever been to Karbala in Fajr time, all of the zawar, all of the people who are praying, they turn to the grave of Imam Hussein and they recite Ziyad Ashura together. And all of them are saying, Allahumma la'an awwala zalimin dhalama haqqa Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad wa akhira tabi'an lahu ala dhalik. Allahumma la'an al-asabata allati jahadat al-Husayn wa shayi'at wa bayi'at wa tabi'at ala qatlih. Allahumma la'anhum jami'an. Each and every majlis we have, each and every time we recite Ziyad Ashura, every time we go to Karbala, that is our pledge of allegiance to Imam Hussein. You gave everything for Islam. You gave everything for the religion of your Prophet. Your grandfather, you gave everything. We are here to give everything for you. So dear brothers and sisters, if Brother Ali is asking for help, one of our brothers is now in Iraq. the one who used to take care of all the naz and niyaz and all of that. We need to come together and make sure that everything flows smoothly. We need to come together to make sure everything happens in the best ways. Remember then, Fatima Al-Zahra is using us as a wasila for the establishment of the majlis of our son Imam Hussein. Previously I had mentioned the shahadat of Muslim ibn Aqil. Tonight I want to talk to you about the two sons Muslim ibn Aqil brought with himself through to Kufa. There are different traditions that say different things as to whether or not the children were originally with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein when Imam Hussein was in Mecca. Some say they were. Some say that Muslim ibn Aqil asked for special permission to go get his sons from Medina. When Muslim ibn Aqil alayhi salam reaches the city of Kufa, his sons are with him. When he becomes shaheed, his sons are imprisoned in prison. They say that they were talking one day that the prison guard in their prison was a Shia of Ahl al-Bayt. He was Muhib of Ahl al-Bayt. They say that when they started talking to him, they told him they were the children of Muslim ibn Aqil. He was shocked, surprised. He was saddened by the fact that he was the one who kept him in prison. He says, I will open your chains. I will leave the door open. I cannot free you myself. But if you walk away from the prison, that's the best that I can do. So these children of Muslim ibn Aqil alayhi salam, they were freed. They went from house to house seeking assistance. They did not trust the people of Kufa. The Islamic Republic of Iran did a very beautiful documentary called Tiflan and Muslim. They say that the children, they were walking through the streets of the city of Kufa. Their father had become shaheed. They had walked so much that they reached the outskirts of the city of Kufa. Dear brothers and sisters, you know what happened to the children of Muslim ibn Aqil? They say that they did not trust anybody. They did not sleep, they were tired, they were hungry, they were thirsty. All the alamat of the shahadat of the shuhada of Karbala were present. All of the sacrifice present in Karbala were also present in the children of Muslim ibn Aqil. There was prisonhood. These children were imprisoned. As Al-Muhammad was in prison afterwards. They say that these children, night came, they were thirsty, they wanted to get some water. So they were by the bank of a bottle of water. In the morning they had fallen asleep. In the morning they woke up and they heard somebody coming to this body of water where they were by. They saw a slave woman carrying a pot to get water for her mistress. They say she saw them. She says, who are you? Kufa is not safe anymore. Kufa is not safe. They say people of Kufa are not worthy of our trust. We're not telling you who we are. They said, tell me, maybe we can help you. She begged them, tell me who you are. They say we are the children of Muslim ibn Aqil. She was Shia, her mistress was Shia, her mistress's son was Yazidi. She says, come to my mistress's house. She will take care of you. She will take care of you. They go to her house. She says, the children of my master, my Maulana, Muslim ibn Aqil are here. She says, don't worry, you are safe with me here. She gives them water and food. You know, when a child is hungry and thirsty, they usually look for a motherly figure to give them food and water, to give them food and drink. These children, they had gotten some satisfaction by the fact that this motherly figure, this woman was giving them food and rest and drink. They went into a quiet room. That night, they say, they saw the Rasulullah in their dream. and Muslim ibn Aqil, they woke up, they started crying for their father, Harith La'anatullah alayh, who was looking for the children of Muslim ibn Aqil. Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, he had set up an arm for the children of the heads of the sons of Muslim ibn Aqil. He said, I will give money to you if you kill Muslim ibn Aqil's sons and you come to me. He goes into that room, he sees the children of Muslim ibn Aqil, he drags them by the hair, he takes them to the riverbank. These children, they plead to him, they say, let us go. If you want inam, we'll take you to Medina. Our mother is going to give you a lot of inam. If you want wealth, if you want anything, they will give them to you. He says, no, I want your heads. He says, they say that he asked them if they had any small request again. It was Fajr time. These children, they said, let us offer our prayers one last time. Let us offer our prayers one last time. They offer their prayers. He says to them, who does want to get killed first? One says, kill me before, spare my brother. The other says, kill me before, spare my brother. He says, one by one, he chopped off the heads of the children of Muslim ibn Aqil, and he threw their bodies into the water. The bodies lifted up together and they had one final embrace. He went to the palace of Ibn Ziyad. Ibn Ziyad says, what are you here for? He said, I heard you had in'am for the children of Muslim. I killed them. He looked at the beautiful faces of the children of Muslim, and he says, how unjust, how unjust, how heartless do you have to be to kill such beautiful children? Not only will I not give you in'am, I will kill you. They say that when Muslim ibn Aqil's children were being killed, that Mu'mina who had housed them, she departed to the city of Medina. As Ahlul Bayt came from Sham to Medina, she came from Kufa to Medina. When she heard Ahlul Haram had come back, she went to their Qabila, she went to their Hujra. They say when Muslim ibn Aqil's wife found out that somebody from the city of Kufa had come, she asked them, tell me what happened to you, to my sons. She says to them, oh mother of the children of Muslim ibn Aqil, when I was leaving Kufa, my son Haider had just cut off your children's head. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Sayalamu alladhina zalamu ayyaman qalbin yanqalibun. Ma'at al-Hussein.
Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein.